Hello. Today I want to talk about unit trust as I promised a long time ago. Uh, but my issue with talking with this has been trying to find a simpler way because I don't want to confuse anybody, and also I don't want it to be complicated as people think it is. So basically, what are unit trusts, and how do they make money with this unit trust thing, and how are they structured, and how can you invest with basically a low amount of money, but gaining a return that abantu abanemali enkulu also gain. Like, how can you access the market through just 500 rand? How can you invest in property just through 500 rand? How can you invest in shares just a minimum of 500 rand? That's what unit trust allows us to do. How can you buy bonds? How can you mix all of these things together, invest Exona, which just a minimum of 500 rand? So how amazing is that? So just the definition of a unit trust, a formal definition, they usually say unit trusts are mutual funds that are regulated, obviously, with a FSCA in South Africa. So we in South Africa currently we have almost 1,400 unit trusts across the industry and across many service providers. So each service provider will have their own funds. The green company will have their own funds, the purple company will have their own funds, and obviously some of the funds have invested in the same type of shares, but they structure it according to their client base or the client that they want to attract. Okay, so what happens Kuma Unit Trust is they create a stock file, basically fancy stock file. They create this pot or this fund so that they can pull together about 500 rand bait. So imagine in South Africa, and then there's like a million of us. Some are able to contribute to 5,000, some are able to contribute 1 million as a lump sum, because unit trust allows you the flexibility of contributing as much as you can. Obviously with a minimum of 500 rand in most cases. They are that allow you with a minimum of 250 on some service providers, but recommended in terms of cost effectiveness is 500 rand. So kuzoqhamuka omunye ne-million, qhamuka omunye with 500,000. So they pull this money together for a common purpose. So laba bane-purpose invest in property, they'll be put together in that fund, that unit trust fund. Laba bane common purpose of just investing offshore, they'll be put together in that fund, and then imali yabo will be invested. If you want to diversify, the good thing is, look, 500 rand can also be divided maybe in 1 or 2 unit trusts. So you can choose a property fund, you can choose a share portfolio, or you can choose a mixture, because there are those unit trusts who has a mixture on them. Okay, so what will happen is they'll pull all these funds together. We invest as individual investors, and sometimes institutional investors do invest in unit trusts. For instance, pension funds, they will invest in certain unit trusts. So let's say the ABC unit trust fund is a balance fund. Balance fund usually invest in different type of asset classes. So they will invest in a mixture of cash. They'll take 20% of the total fund invested in cash. They will take 15% of the total fund invested in bonds. Go buy government bonds locally or offshore, and then they will take 30% of the money. Let's say they will invest it in shares. Also in those shares, they will also diversify. They'll say shares in technology, shares in resources, So the good thing about unit trust is diversification. There's a lot of diversification in it. And then after these fund managers, they call fund managers, they will take this money, go buy these shares in a bigger scale, because sometimes companies want imali enkulu. So Pick n Pay will say, we require to grow our business, we require $1 billion, then this balance fund will say we have $1 billion from the investors. Here we are, Pick n Pay, we are investing in your company. Here, Naspers, here, Mr. Price, here. So in that way, Tina, we are buying units in this fund, owning the shares. Okay, so mangabe sebuya ama dividends, this company will declare dividends to this fund, and this fund will allocate these dividends to us as individual investors. So 3 ways you can increase your investment through ama unit trust, because mangabe investwe kuma shares in this unit trust, ku invest mhlawumbe kwi property, ku invest in cash, imali yakho izokhula ngendlela ezo 3. 1, cash produces interest. So if imali yethu investwe kuma banks, ama banks will give interest to this fund. That means one way of increasing your money is interest. 2, if ku investwe kuma shares, some of the money ahambiswa kuma shares, ama shares are increasing indlela ezo 2, while they increase in value. 2, they also declare ama dividends. So if ishare la Pick n Pay lizobe lithengiwe thina ngaleso sikhathi mhlawumbe lithengwa ngo-R5, and then mhlawumbe 3 years later ishare la Pick n Pay selu-R10, that means we have gained u-R5 more. But on top of low R5, probably in this 5 years of Pick n Pay would have declared ama dividends every year. So imali yethu sikhule twice, sikhule 3 times. In actual fact, there is capital growth, there is interest, and then there are dividend part of growth. Hence, we say it's an easier way to invest, because when we look at this type of shares, it's professionals who have investigated and who have done a research. Which is it right then invest to that company? Is it right to invest in that type of property? Is it right to invest in that country? Because sometimes they invest in countries. That is when we say it goes offshore. We've got offshore funds. So they will do the work for us, and then we just pay them Leo fee. It's called the platform fee, depending on Leo service provider what you charge malini. But it's a risk in noma uzohamba uyokhethela wena ishare la Steinhoff. Do you remember? Ukhetha ishare la Steinhoff, hambe kahle. Boom, ngoba wena awuresearchanga, awazi izinto ezi-inside, you not like have the inside info, boom, leave share, imali yakho usuyiluzile because share selwile. With these ones, there is that kind of protection, not 100% protection, but a risk is minimized because there are professionals behind managing these funds. There are professionals behind in researching all these shares. They can choose, well, okay, no, we can't invest here because probably the future doesn't look good, or their books doesn't look good, because that's what they do. They go first and research, is it worth putting ama billions emails abantu? Is it worth this company emails abantu? Will there be returns? If they feel they're uncomfortable, it's called due diligence. If they feel they are comfortable, they won't invest, then they will move to the next one. Okay, so those are unit trusts in a nutshell. Istokfela nje sifence regulated, esinabantu abafundile abama-analytic abakwazi ukuthi nje basikhethele, because really mangakanani ama-shares in South Africa alone, how many shares, and how do you know the right one? Because remember, a share price is attached to the value of the company, and the value of the company is determined by a lot of factors. Isn't there fun know their profit share, their revenue? Isn't there fun know what's their growth potential? Isn't there fun know what director ziningi? Isn't there determine the market share of the company? When I go to no bango to Capitec, right? But do you know the inside info of Capitec? No. But if you buy it through a unit trust, there has been work done for you. It's simpler. You just need a proper advice from a professional financial planner like myself. Also, get the right unit trust. A finally is dingo. Because corner investor for only a shorter period of time that are good for only shorter period of time, 2 to 3 years, or as you good, your money won't be affected by when you go on markets. And then corner investor for long term, was I wanna catch as much growth as I can. The only maybe upside or downside for other people with the unit trust is that there is no consistency in terms of returns, because this year there are a lot of factors attached to our returns with shares and everything. This year we could make 10%. Next year things can be good, sense of 15 or 20, because izinto zidepende ekutheni how is the market at that point, ne? So ayikho lento ukuthi every year ngizothola 8% return, every year ngizothola 15% return. So if uzofika kumina uthi I want to invest in unit trust, how much interest am I getting? Ngizokutshela ukuthi I don't know, because yes, we've received our past performances, but we cannot base our past performances as determining current performance. But we know for sure that there should be growth in the long term, depending on what your goal for that investment and how much time do you have. Hence, mangizokwenza financial analysis and ngizok-investela. The questions I'll usually ask is, what is your goal for this investment? How long do you think you're going to invest this money for? And how much do you have? And how much risk do you want to take? When I say risk, can you manage ukuthi ngenye ufake my 100,000 wakho today, mawuthi uyafika mhlambe 3 months down the line ngikhombisa statement, yes ngithi khona 98,000, it doesn't mean you have lost money, but it only means sithenge the share today with 100,000. The value of 100,000, ishare lisakhona, the value of the share is just drop. Sasa safiki orange no, I think orange letter is worth 98,000. The only time you lose money is when you decide to say, okay, I'm selling this orange at this 98,000, then you are losing 2,000 rand. But if you haven't sold your units, that means you haven't lost any money. It's just a loss in paper. So that's how we actually determine what. We buy units at a price, hoping to sell at a higher price in future, so that this will receive capital growth beside my dividends and interest. Pop me questions on unit trust. Pop me any concerns that, or if you need any clarity, just tell me, and then I'll clarify. And then was I no 500% when I'm going to my investment, and then start investing now. So I am a qualified advisor, but this cannot be taken as advice. For each person also for an investment, I'll tell you unit trust is good for you. So if in guys are about 50, doesn't mean I'll only put you guys on unit trust. For each person who's needing ozake, we'll put them unit trust and finally. So advice will only be given on personal levels. Guys, peace. Catch me on Igagasi FM every Monday. Go Rents and Cents, sikhuluma ngemali, all things money, and how to take care of our money. Also, follow my page, Making Sense of Your Sense. Asithanda imali, guys, and imali izosithanda. Cheers.